Hello, my name is Larry Mars. I'm going to build a studio recording desk, and I'm going to show you the parts that I bought. I saw some of the YouTube videos on this and got the idea for my version of this. From that, I'm going to put my specs on the end of the video here that everyone can write down and figure out. I spent about $150 on this project. And here's some of the materials that I did, that I bought. Right over here, I used 1/2 inch birch instead of 3/4 inch plywood. Number one, it just got a better finish. It's already smooth, it's already sanded, and I think it's going to look better, and it's going to be a little bit lighter. And at Home Depot or Lowe's, they will cut the lumber for you. So I figured out all my cuts on a 4x8 sheet. I had to get 2 4x8 sheets to do all this. And I figured out all the cuts that I needed. So they were nice enough to cut all my lumber for me. And you know, they cut it a lot straighter than I could with a skill saw or even a table saw. So, and then right down here are some of the extra materials that I bought. I've got, I went ahead and bought the natural stain. There's no polyurethane on this. I didn't want polyurethane look. I wanted a natural wood finish with no shine. And the guy at Home Depot also said to get some paint thinner and prime this wood with paint thinner, just with a rag, prime the whole thing. These are going to be the sides and the shelves and everything right here, and then I want to sand it down with 220. I got Gorilla Wood Glue I'm going to be using to glue this together. I've also got some wood filler. I don't know if I'm going to use this or not, depending on where I put my screws. And I'm going to be using 1 1/4 inch, 18 inch brad nails for a lot of this, putting this together. I've got a, right down here, I've got an air compressor with a little nail gun that I'm going to be using, and then a chop saw to chop out some of my cuts that I've got to make. For the frame part, I'm going to use this on the back of the top piece right here. I'm going to cut that out for the back frame, and then I'm going to use these. This is actually a leftover door frame that I had. You can still see the hinge marks in it, but I'll hide that inside the shelves. But this is going to be the actual frame that'll come out like this when I cut them down, and I will do the 45-degree angle right here to get them back out of the way. And then that'll be basically the frame. I'm doing a little bit different. I'm not doing this symmetrical. On one side of my shelf I'm going to have 20-inch. I'm going to have a 20-inch space underneath the desk right here, and I'm going to have a 16-inch shelf right here. It's going to be a single shelf on the bottom right here to stack up a bunch of stuff, and then there's going to be 2 shelves right here for my computer on top, and then my hard drives underneath. Okay, I'm starting to put these basically they're braces for the sides. This is just going to be a shelf right here, but I'm using it as a guide because you really want to make sure you get this thing good and flush against that back side back there. And if you're not, see right now I'm going to be out of flush right there, but so I'm having to tap this board over, and before I really slide it down real good, because it's not quite right now. And you're gonna have to make sure of those kinds of things right there. It'll all be all out of square, and you know, I'm certainly not a carpenter, and it's starting to show. So, but I think a little pecking, a little tapping here and there, and just double checking everything you do, it'll help out a lot. This is what, basically, this will sit down, you know, like this, and this will be the top. And we got some nice wood going for the top. 1/2 inch birch on the top, once again. And I went with 1x5 right here and a 1x8 right here. The reason I did that is because the 2x6s and all that stuff, man, that was just going to be really heavy. I mean heavy. 3/4 inch plywood and 2x6s are heavy. So I decided to go with this, which I'm hoping is going to make it a lot lighter. And right now, it's pretty light. And I'm just using 1 1/4 inch brad nails to nail all this together, but it's when you get it all put together, it feels good and solid. So they ain't gonna go nowhere. But once they glued in there, you have to tear them things apart with a sledgehammer. They won't ever come undone. Okay, here's the left shelf that's finished right here. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail when I start building the right shelf, which will hold my computer. This is going to hold the amp, my cassette deck, and a DAT machine and a record player up here. Okay, this is what I'm using to put this thing together. Basically, these are the little 1x2s. You can get them for 97 cents a piece. They're 8-footers at Home Depot. And basically what I do is I just want to cut this to size right here at 31 and I think it's 31 1/4. And I'll just glue this and brad nail it in. If these things are warped usually pretty bad, so you want to go down through and make sure that it stays real good and flush with the bottom of this, because that will be your base. So I'm gonna find my best edge too. There's a better edge to this thing. Like, see, this is, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but this is a little bit boogered up right here. So just try to put that against the flat part of the wood here. I think I'm gonna try to do it like this right here. Yeah, that looks pretty good, and that stays pretty flush. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna nail this to this. So just put a little stream of glue, the old Gorilla wood glue. You don't really need that much, surprisingly. And make sure your good piece is up, because this will actually be seen somewhat. Put it on there, and it don't have to be perfect right now. What you're doing though is you're trying to just get it set. And once you basically just get it flush, just pop a couple in it to hold it. Make sure it's good and flush. And then just pop it in. Pop you one there, and then come down here and pop you one in. And now you can just finish putting that in. It's amazing those little brad nails will hold this with glue, that is. Because the glue, they just basically just tack the glue in place. Now basically you'll just do the same thing to the other side. You'll bring this in. Pull it up, set it on there, and I guarantee you there are carpenters out there that are laughing at me right now going, this guy does not know what he's doing. Well, that's true, but you know, you live and then you learn. So, oh, I forgot to put glue down. So let me put a little bit of glue down. And if you get a little glue seeping out, you can always just wipe it off with a rag before it dries real hard. And once again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flush this. Tack one in, and tack one in down there at the bottom just to hold it together while you finish it up. And then you can just go ahead and just finish nailing it. Once you put your second shelf in here is when it starts getting a lot more solid. This is basically just another brace right here that will go in and tack together. And I'm going to put a little glue on it. So you want to just put this in here like this. Just kind of tap it in with a hammer and try to keep it flush. And you got some excess glue you can just wipe off there, ain't no big deal. Put one in to hold it. That looks good. It's flush. I'll buy it. Make sure it's flush. Okay. Now I'm going to have to turn my air machine on again because it's getting weak. I can tell it. And basically you should do the same thing to the other side, and then I'll show you how to put the next shelf in a minute. One thing that helps to solidify this whole thing again, and I did this on the 20-inch shelf, is I drive a 3-inch screw right into the end of this thing that goes through the board right here, and then the containing the other piece right here. And then once you pop that sucker in there, it gets a lot stronger. But you got to pre-drill. Okay, and I'm using a drill bit. I'm not real sure what size that is right there. It's fairly small. It's a little bit smaller than a 3-inch diameter of my screw here. It's just a little bit smaller. It's just enough to pilot it in there so you don't split this wood, and you still can if you're not real careful. So you just got to eyeball it. You just got to get in here and just eyeball this thing, and you want to put it through this one and this one right here, and just hope you don't miss. And if you just eyeball it in there, you can pretty much, you can feel it go through. Take the drill bit out, and then you'll just sock that sucker down, and you want to lay it to it. But that pilot hole really helps to do this. So you want to suck it down, and yeah, boy, see, that felt better already, and my wood didn't split, so that's a good thing. I'm gonna try to get it just under the surface here so I can feel it. That did it. All right. So you do the same thing to that to all 4 corners on the bottom. Okay, I measured my computer. My computer's actually 16 inches high from the ground. So my shelf is going to come down. I'm going to give it 18 inches of clearance, and that'll be enough clearance for my hard drives to stand up below. I mean, I could lay them down, but I thought they work. I think they're all designed to stand up in the stands. So I'm going to stand them up down here where I can get to them pretty easy. Actually, they'll be way back in the back there, so they'll be kind of quiet too, I hope. All right, I am with my good friend Tony Ray Jones right here, and he is going to help me put this thing together. I got my shelf put in here. He just helped me do that. For my 16-inch side, this is the 20-inch side, and let's see if it fits, Tony. All right. We'll have to wrestle it a little bit, probably. How's it doing now?
Now we need to refilm it.
It took some doings, but you know, it looks good. That's solid, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Ain't gonna go nowhere. And we just finally put this thing together. I ended up going with a little bit different measurement on the top, on the speaker shelf. And at Tony's idea, it's actually better. I cut my board too short, so I had to get another board. But it ended up working out better because we brought the top board all the way out to the end, flush with the end, and it gives you a little bit more room to put your speakers all the way out to the end.
68 inches.
68 inches out,
19
and we got
for
three.
Rack space.
Yeah, we got 4 space rack spaces right here. All we have to do is stain it, putty these holes. We've got very little holes. Katie, bring it closer over here. All right, now look here. This is what I'm talking about. We just putty these little holes. This is all we did to sock these things in. I think they were 2-inch drywall screws. All we did. We'll putty that up, and look here. See these little holes right here? That's my brad nails. That's all. We'll putty them in. You won't see nothing. None of these big gigantic holes. We've got very little sanding to do. If I had a router, I'd be able to route this corner off all the way around. But I don't have a router right now. But we're real close to getting ready to stain it. I probably won't do it today because I actually got a session to go to.
It looks good.
But I think it's going to work nice. On the back, we just used 2 of these T-brackets right here is all we used. One on this side and one on the very end down here, right down there where Tony is. And that was all we used to secure this whole thing. So we did it. Pretty much it. Birch is the way to go.
Anybody can do it.
You can too. Okay, there's a picture of it right there with before we got stained. And me and Tony just put it together. All right, started the sanding process right now on this. Gonna try to get it stained today. I'm using 100 grade on a block, just a little wood block right there, because I find the wood block, it just helps keep everything nice and straight and even. I'm not gonna use it on the top of this. It's only gonna be used, the 100 is only gonna be used on a couple of rough spots on this shelf, speaker rack right here. And the rest of it is gonna be 220, and I've got it on one of these. You've seen these things. But basically, I'm just gonna sand it out. And the guy at Home Depot told me to use paint thinner right here to treat all this wood. And I'm actually gonna have to take everything apart to stain it. All this is gonna come back apart again. I'll have to put it back together again. That'll be fun. One of the last steps here I'm gonna do before I stain this, I've chosen to use a router. It's a 5/8 router with one of those little rounding bits. I don't know what you call the bit exactly, but it's just gonna round the edges all the way around on this thing, and it's gonna make, you can do it with sandpaper and a block, pretty heavy sandpaper and a block, and get the edges rounded, but it takes a long time, and this does a more uniform, it'll be, exactly the same all the way around this thing. And if you haven't had experience with a router, don't fool with it, because they're very dangerous. They can be very dangerous. If you do, you got to wear eye protection, and you got to wear ear protection too. I'm going to wear these little foam earplugs, and my daughter is wearing ear muffs over there, and I may get her a set of sunglasses, but I don't think this is going to chip too bad right here. One thing about the router is, if you're going to do this, you got to make sure you keep this thing really flat. Now, I don't have a real good surface to work on, but this is the best I've got. But you want to keep this piece really flat against this right here. Are you getting this, Katie? Mm-hmm. Okay. You want to keep this really flat against here, because that's going to make all the difference in the world. You've got to keep that flat when you're coming down it like that. And it's not a good idea to bear into this thing real fast. Just let it ease into it when you get your start. And then you can do your corners. So I'm going to do all 4 corners of this. And boy, see right there, I can feel myself going off a little bit. So, all right, here we go. All right, so we're going to try to finish this out right here. And I'm not going to do the back corner. It's going to be in the back. No one's going to get back there. It's just the front and the sides is all I'm going to get. Okay? All right, so I'm putting the stain on here right now, and Katie, if you can show the difference between where I started the stain and where it's not been stained. Like I say, this is just a natural finish. I think I would rather do it this way, because I just think I love the natural wood, and I'm going to have earth tones in my studio that Tony Ray Jones is helping me with, by the way. So I think in the end, when you see the finished product eventually in the studio set up and rocking, I'm gonna like it because I put so much work into it. But I think you'll agree that it's really gonna look good with the colors we've chosen too. After much debate, I have finally decided that although this looks good, I think I am gonna I'm gonna try to put a thin coat of polyurethane on here, because I got to talking to some guys, and they said the first time I set a cup of coffee down on it and it's got coffee around it spilled, it's going to get all over this table and it's going to stain it. And he said at least with polyurethane you'll be able to wipe it off and not have that problem. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a coat of polyurethane. I've got a coat of that on there right now. Coat of this on here. It's going to have to dry. Then I have to put some more on tomorrow. I got to sand it down between the coats, put some more on, and then after I do all that, it should be about done. Okay, done a whole lot of work since we've last filmed. Got the desk put back together, moved it in here. Katie, if you'll pan around, we've done all the painting in the room. This will be the final studio. And we've done all the walls, the ceiling, the floor, everything. I got me a little cheapo rug here. And basically what we're going to be doing next is slowly bringing all the gear out of this room And oh, it's a mess in there. That's enough. And putting it in here. So I will make one more film of it when we finally get it all put back together, and you can see the final product. All right, it's been a few weeks now, and we've actually got everything loaded up, all the effects put in, all my hardware, everything wired in, everything going. And this was the same room that I built it in, and Tony Ray and myself finished out everything, all the walls, all the ceiling. I put the sound panels up. And come on in here close, Katie, and show them everything. I'm using, let's go right here. I'm using an M-Audio 1814 with the Octane Pre. It gives me 16 inputs. I do use these consoles right here for one of them for mic inputs right here, Studio Master. And then I'm using the back of the Octane for my drum mics. I've got 10 SMB speakers, a couple of 22-inch monitors. I've got everything racked up down here. This didn't work out like I thought it was going to. I had to end up putting my record player down there and the cassette right here. But oh well, it still works. And I've got a reverb right here, 2 compressors, an old Effectron unit that I really love. And I ran out of stuff to put in here. I didn't really have anything else to rack. And I ended up, my printer actually fit in between this perfectly. And when I need to scan something, I can just slide it out, scan it, and then I can put it right back in there to get it out of the way. And then my computer's here, and all my hard drives and everything just like I'd planned it. Let's take a before and after of the next room here. Let's walk in here, Katie. This is the room yet to be finished. Woo! But soon I will have all my drums in here. I'll be able to do a piano player, guitar player, bass player for that matter, or I can do a live acoustic thing. I'll be able to do a lot of different kinds of music, and I'm going to get a gigantic drum sound in this big room. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope someone learned something. I know I did by building this thing, and I think I'm going to build my family a computer desk based on the same idea, just scaled down. And then I'm going to make a TV stand too. So I may film those too. I don't know. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later.